Hey, I'm Cicely Renee. I'm so excited that you're here. We're going to do a journal spread. And so let's talk about supplies. You are going to need some pens. So I use this Amazon brand that I'll link below, but you can use whatever illustrating pens you would like. You are going to need some cardstock paper or just regular paper, but paper that can hold, colors like markers and stuff like that. And so I'm using Tombow markers, and with the different pens that I use, I'm using a brush pen. It gives it a nice, really cool look. And so what you want to do is begin by kind of mapping out your layout. And so I know I want a frame, I want a border, but I also want some big flowers in the corners. And so I'm just kind of mapping out my flowers. I know you can't really see it, but you'll get the idea in a moment. And so now you're going to grab your brush pen and begin to draw your florals. And one of my favorite styles is loose and messy. I'm not here for perfection. I'm here for the experience, the journey. And so we did this page in our Journal with Me Bible study tonight, and I just thought it was amazing, and so I wanted to share that with you. The theme was called Courage and Calling in God's Timing, and the verse was Esther 4 verse 14. It says, "And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this." And so we were talking about Esther. We were studying Esther. We were diving into a character study for the Bible study. And, it was just a really dope conversation. And a lot of the ladies were like, this had me thinking and made me slow down and reflect. Where am I? And, how can God use me? And so we have an inspiration where it's Esther didn't plan to be queen. She didn't expect to be the one God would use to save her people. But when the time came, she stepped forward in faith. Her story reminds us that God positions us not for comfort, but for purpose. We may not feel qualified or ready, but He has equipped us for the season we are in. So just know that you are not in this season by accident. God has placed you here, your family, your work, your community, for such a time as this. And so we dived into that idea. I reflected on the job that I have, that I don't feel like I was prepared. I definitely feel like I was unqualified, but here I am in year 2 and just flourishing, and God has just been providing for such a time as this. And, I think about why am I there? Why do you have me here, God? God is not a willy-nilly God. He is not a go with the flow God. He's not a let's see what can happen. He is all about purpose. For His purpose, His will, right? And so we have to think about that. We have to be, intentional, reflective, introspective, with, every step. Nothing is willy-nilly. Nothing is just happen, right? Everything has a purpose, everything for a reason. And, you can either just allow things just to go, or you can, connect with God and be like, why do you have me here? That will definitely set you apart. It will build your confidence in Him. It will cause you to be more bold when you know why you are there, because the why comes from God and not from our personal selves. It's not about our personal mission. It's all about what God wants us to do for Him in this here world. So as we create our journal spread, you can add this to your journal, or you can do this directly in your journal. But I wanted to create kind of like a coloring sheet where you guys can get the, black and white print. And maybe you don't want to draw this and you just want to use what I made. And so you can get that for free in the Patreon community. So definitely check out that. It is called the Creative Retreat. And so you will be able to get this for free. And then you can also get the colored one, where you can just fill it out on your own and print it. You can use it digitally as well. And so there's many options there for you. But you can see it's not that hard, create a little border, a frame, and whatnot, and just go with the flow. No, don't be like, just enjoy the journey, the process. And the idea is that you're co creating and praying and, listening to God, during this journey, this process. So just know that, when we do journal with me, it's all about, talking with God. Every step, every movement, every brushstroke, it's all with God. And so do not feel like it has to be this perfect masterpiece. Don't feel like, you can't create. You can draw some squiggles. You can draw some circles, and just, this is not for everyone. This is just for you and God. And so God doesn't want perfection. So do not fret, okay? Now remember, this is a journal spread, and so there will be reflection on here. And so I love giving my pages titles. I want to know what the theme was, a prompt. And so this one is all about purpose and positioning. And so you want to put that in there somewhere. Yours does not have to look like mine, right? And so what we're going to do is create a T chart. So one of my favorite ways to journal is bullet points. I like list. And so a T chart is an amazing, way to, brainstorm or journal. And so you can see you have a line down the middle, and then two titles on each side, on either side, right? So the first side will be called Where Am I Positioned? Or, where I am. And that talks about your roles, your relationships, opportunities. And then on the right side, you want to write, how can God use me? And this is encouragement, prayer, influence, service. So how can God use you in these places, right? And I wouldn't just say the way you want to be used, but you really sit there and pray and listen to God. Ask him, how does he want you to be used? What are you looking for, God? Like, how am I supposed to be a blessing? What do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to say? Who am I supposed to connect with? It is all about what he wants and not just what you want, right? And so, again, you want to just reflect on those things. And so, as you journal those, I'm going to also give you some other prompts as well. All right, so prompt number 1 says, where has God placed you for such a time as this? And you can write this as list as well, or you can draw it, you can doodle it, you can do a collage. The second prompt is, what area of your life requires courage to step forward in faith? Question 2 says, or 3, how might God use your voice, presence, or influence to bless others right now? And then the last prompt is, what fears hold you back from fully embracing the season, and how can you surrender them? And so so you have a 2-part journaling experience. We have the T chart for position and purpose, and then we have kind of like the silent journaling. And I would encourage you to, play music. I would definitely do lo-fi or non-lyrical music, because the words, can get into your head, and you want to have, kind of like, no influences from the words, or, what I'm saying, right? And in your journal spreads, you can use like washi tape or stickers. I love putting stickers in there so I don't have to draw so much, but I love drawing as well. I love, getting better at my craft, this skill that God has blessed me with. And so you can color in your journaling page spread, or you can leave it black and white. It's all up to you because it's yours, right? And so, one of the really cool things about what I'm doing is, spreading the gospel through creativity and like journaling. And so, I have a Patreon community called the Creative Retreat. And again, you can get this blank page in there for free. And so, I would love for you to participate in that. It is going to be fun. We have, events throughout the, month. We did just launch, and so it's in its beginning stages. And so, if God is leading you to join a community where we, prioritize God daily, all day, and then diving into his word using, creative outlets, whether it's painting, journaling, drawing, music, whatever it may be. And so I want you guys to think about that. Ask God, is this a community that I should be a part of? We have a lot of fun. But also, I host a Bible study, and you don't have to pay for that. It is called She Sits at His Feet. And so, what we do there is go through the Bible, but we also, have fellowship, we have fun, we learn from each other, we have, faith stories, game nights. We just finished up a series called, Bible Study Methods. And so we love studying the Bible. And so what I started doing is a journal with me session right before. So if you want to do this live with me, you can do so on Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then we have Bible study right afterwards. And so I would encourage you to participate in both. But if you just want to come for the journaling with me, that works too. But that we get to have conversations, we get to, ask questions, we get to dive in a little deeper. And so, as you can tell, I'm filling out, my T chart, my journaling page. And so just thinking of things that really stand out, and I almost didn't want to put singleness, but the Holy Spirit kept saying, put it there, put it there, put it there. And so now I'm like, oh God, okay, what is the purpose of my singleness right now in this season? But I'm excited that I'm here. It's definitely a transition, and so I know that there's a purpose for everything. All right, and so the goal here is to do a journal with me weekly where we have a theme, and I'll do a tutorial and, just show you some cool creative journaling, spreads that you can do based off of a theme. And so I would love for you to be here. So I would hope that you would subscribe and then also share with other people so that they can enjoy and be fed and build their faith as well. So let me know in the comments, do you journal? Are you a creative? What are your thoughts about this spread? All right, peace and blessings.